Let us begin. So just a quick recap. If you remember, we did differentiation yesterday. Differentiation was simply when you have any function given, you are trying to determine the rate of change depending on the variable. Let's say we have y is equal to x squared. تمام? A differentiation represented like this, dy by dx, because x is the changing variable, it will be 2x. What does this mean? We are subtracting from 1 and we are multiplying it by 2. Okay? That's how we reach L value. Integration is the reverse process. Integration, the idea of it, الحين احنا في differentiation, we're trying to break down the thing into small pieces and find the rate of how much it's changing. When it comes to integration, we are summing up all these pieces to find the overall value and answer. So it is the exact opposite. So let's say we have a function y is equal to 2x. All right? Integration of 2x, of y يعني, in this case, integration of y, which is the integration of 2x, زين, is equal to 2x to the power, we're going to add to the power, this is a power 1, يعني 2x كأنه power 1. We're going to add to it 1, and we are going to divide instead of multiply by the power plus 1. So we're going to divide by 1 plus 1. اللي هو the new power that we are getting, the full power هني. We're going to add it to the bottom. So in other words, this is going to be equal to 2x squared divided by 2, which is simply x squared. This is the integration of 2x. طبعا in integration, this does not mean anything without you representing the change. So you have to write dx. Okay? So in integration, you have to add the dx, which is the changing variable. يعني into what are you integrating with respect to? And when we were doing differentiation, what are we differentiating with respect to? With x. فهني نفس الشيء لازم نقول. احنا we are going to integrate with respect to the differentiation of x, يعني اللي هو change of x. So the x is the variable we are integrating for. So again, same thing here. This does not mean anything. If you just write integral of 2x, this has no sense in math. And then it makes no sense. So you have to make sure you are adding the dx, which is the variable you are changing. So integration, again, just to revise, all you are doing is you're doing the reverse process of differentiation. احنا عندنا هني 2x 1 plus 1 اللي هو 2x power 1. We are going to add 1 to the power, and this new power we're going to divide the whole equation with. So if you notice, the final answer here, x squared, okay, it's equal to the answer or the question here when we had to derive. It's basically vice versa, and we're going in reverse. The one thing you add in the integration, in our case, this is called indefinite integration. We do not have the limits, which we'll talk about later on. So what do we do here? We do x squared plus c. We have to add this plus c. This is also very important. This is called the arbitrary constant. شو معناته هل plus c? هل plus c معناته there is a constant available, يعني there is additional value there depending on what you are integrating. شو limits مال integration? A better way to understand this is الحين احنا عندنا y is equal to 2x squared plus أو مو 2x squared بس x squared plus 5. زين. If we want to derive this dy by dx نسوي differentiation يعني this is going to be 2x. With 5 it will become 0. Then it's a constant. فif we want to integrate this 2x زين احنا بيطلع لنا بس x squared. This c is representing this 5 over here. So this 5 زين في هالحالة يعني is represented by this constant. Obviously in this case we do not know what the constant is. All you need to know is that there will always be a constant when you are integrating and you do not have limits, which we will see later on. تمام? So 2 rules to remember when integrating. Always add the dx. the variable that you are integrating to the function, and always add the constant c, the arbitrary constant, to your final answer. This is obviously for basic integration, basic value. Let's move on to sine and cosine. So let's say we have y is equal to sine x. dy by dx, which is the differentiation. And I'm just showing you the differentiation. Then I want you to keep in mind and relate, and the integration is just the opposite of differentiation. If you remember, dy by dx is cosine x. صح ولا لا? So if we go to integration, let's integrate cosine x. This is going to give us sine x. Obviously, we're integrating in terms of dx. This will give us sine x plus c. Always remember your plus c. Always you remember your dx. So dx and plus c. لأنه هو عكس differentiation. So it has to go back to this original value, which is sine of x. Sine of x. The plus c in this case is 0, but sometimes it could be a different constant. تمام? So this is basically what integration is all about. You are doing the reverse of what you are usually doing with differentiation. The same thing with y is equal to cosine x. When we are differentiating this, it's going to give us sine x, but negative. It's minus sine x. So when we go to integration of sine x dx, this is going to give us minus cosine x plus c. فصار العكس الحين. لأن إحنا we have the opposite sign. So if we do minus here, this is going to be plus here. If we remove the minus here, this is going to be negative here. It's just the opposite work. تمام? Because like I said, this is just doing differentiation, but in the opposite way. يعني إحنا when we do differentiation, cosine becomes into minus sign. When we do integration, sine becomes minus cosine. And don't forget your plus c and your dx when integrating. تمام? I believe all of these are already also in your formula sheet. And it's very straightforward مثل ما تشوفون يعني there's nothing too complicated about it so far وإن شاء الله دوم. نفس الفكرة again when we go to exponentials. If you remember, let's say y is equal to e to the power of 3x. زين dy by dx is going to be equal to, remember what we did 3e to the power of 3x. صح ولا لا? 3e to the power of 3x. So let's integrate this value so we can go back to the original equation, which is 3e to the power of 3x. Understand? Simply what this is, dx, of course. Simply what this is, you know that you have to reach back to this original value. But how does it happen? We will apply the same exact rule. هني, what did we do? This, we multiplied it into it. And then the e of x stayed the same. This does not change. E to the power of 3 of x. So we will do the opposite هني. هني, e to the 3x will not change again, just like the case before. E to the power of 3x will not change. But we have to divide by 3. طبعا عندنا 3e 3x, but we have to divide by 3, which is this 3. This 3 is being divided. And this 3 is a constant. This 3 is a constant. Constants do not get affected by integration or by derivation. If you're multiplying a variable by a constant, the constant does not get affected. زين? So if we simplify this, we simply cancel the 3's, and we will get to e to the power of 3x, which is the same as the original equation. So in other words, we can say that the integration of e to the power of 5x, for example, is going to be dx is going to be e to the power of 5x. This does not change, but we have to divide with this number. So it's going to be over 5, of course, plus c, and plus c. And that's it. This is how you integrate when it comes to exponentials. تمام? Simple, very straightforward. Same exact thing. Instead of multiplying in differentiation, we are multiplying. Here we will be dividing, and e to the power 5x, the integral of e to the x is equal to the integral of e of to the x. يعني إذا عندنا e power x dx, this is equal to e to the power of x plus c, simply. All right? And the last point, when it comes to the general rules, remember that the y عندنا يساوي ln of x dy by dx of ln of x, if you remember, is 1 over x. So if we want to integrate 1 over x, if we want to integrate 1 over x, what do we get? We get ln of x plus c. That's it. So when you see the integration of 1 over x, you know that the answer of it is going to be ln x plus c. And again, I believe this is also in your formula sheet, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, integration of 1 over x dx is ln x plus c. Tamam? These are the basic general rules. Just I wanted to show you how they are related to functions when you are doing the differentiation. All you are doing in integration is doing the opposite. Now, some extra notes you need to know. What is the integration of a constant? 1. Remember, dx, okay? Integration of 1 dx. Remember that this is basically the same as saying the integration of 1 x to the power of 0. صح ولا لا؟ dx. لأن x to the power of 0 is equal to 1. x to the power of 0 is equal to 1. صح ولا لا؟ So, أو خلينا نقول 5 عشان ما يصير confusion هني. 5 dx. For 5 times x to the power 0, which is 1. In integration, remember the general rule. We are going to put plus 1, and then we will divide plus 1. في هالحالة ال n value is 0. So it is going to be 5x to the power of 1 اللي هو 0 plus 1 يعني divided by 0 plus 1 plus c. بما معناه integration of 5 dx is going to be equal to 5x to the power of 1 over 1, which is simply equal to 5x plus c. Makes sense? So in this case, when we have a constant and we are integrating a constant, it is not going to be equal to 0. No, it is going to be equal to that constant multiplied by x. All right? Another thing, if we have any constant inside an equation, an integration, you can rewrite this by taking the constant outside with no penalty whatsoever. And it's a constant, you're just multiplying. So you can do this. For in 5 times x cubed dx, there's nothing wrong with doing such a such a movement of or multiplication or changing of the constant. Okay, you can move it outside the integral and keep it inside the integral. عادي, it was both the same. As long as it's being multiplied by a variable, you can do that. Again, another thing, if you have, for example, this integration, you can split these into 2 separate integrations. So this is the same as saying the integral of x cubed plus dx طبعا plus the integral of 5x dx. And it's going to be something like this. Okay? You can split them and you can integrate each part by itself. You do not have to confuse yourselves وتقولون هذا شو وكيف. طبعا you can do it in one step as well. You don't have to split it, but you can do that if you want. يعني إذا كان عندكم something a bit more complicated, which we might see later on, you can split it. تمام? Let's see if there are any basic questions. Anyone has any questions? Let's see if there's something, an example we can solve. Start with this. Why not? Any questions before I start solving a couple of questions? راجع بتكون حل أنشطة أو اختبارات الماك. أنشطة, and I'm not going to go over the mock exam today. I mean, if there's time towards the end of the session, I might go over it very quickly, but the plan is during the sessions, I will be doing activities from the worksheets. عندنا هالintegration. Okay, 3 over x to the power 8 plus e over the 8th root of x cubed. In other words, if we rewrite this, this is the same as saying integration of 3 x to the power minus 8. All I did was take this to the numerator because it's in the denominator and added the minus dx plus the integration of e x to the power of minus 3 over 8. How did I get this? لأن عندنا 1 over 8 x cubed. This is the same as saying 1 over x to the power of 3 over 8. And this is the same as saying x to the power of minus 3 over 8. Okay, you guys should already know how to do these. Make sure you understand these concepts. dx. And now you can solve easily. Remember, this is just e. E by itself is a constant. E by itself يمكن عندكم بس ال E. It's not e to the power of x. لا. It's only e. E by itself is a constant. كأنكم تقولون يعني 5. لأن E is equal to 2.717 شيء كذي. It's a constant. It's a number. Okay. فit does not affect this integration at all. مو تروحون تطبقون exponential solving. لا. It is just straightforward. What you call it, a straightforward constant that you can solve it. زين. هني if we want to continue solving, we'll just apply the general rule. For 3x minus 8, what is the general rule? This is going to be 3x minus 8 plus 1 over minus 8 plus 1 plus a 3 هني is a constant, it does not change anything, plus e, again a constant, does not change anything, x minus 3 over 8 plus 1 over minus 3 over 8 plus 1. And that's it. And then you simplify and you have your final answer. So it is going to be 3x to the power of minus 7, minus 8 plus 1 is minus 7, over minus 7 plus x to the power of 1 minus 3 over 8 is 5 over 8 over minus, no, positive 5 over 8. Okay, simplify it even further. 3x minus 7, this is minus because the denominator is minus and the above is positive. So we could just write it as that. 3 over 7 x power 7. Come on. There was no square root في البداية. Yeah. Okay. Plus 5 over 8 in the denominator. When we take it up, it just gets flipped. So it becomes 8 over 5. For 8e x زين over 5. X is to the power of 5 and under the root 8. And that's it. And that's it. That's your final answer. We just are missing the plus C plus C. Remember the plus C. Very important to remember the plus C. Makes sense? Any questions about this? عشان we move on into a bit more fun things like integration by parts. Then, before we move on into integration by parts, let's solve a few more questions. عشان بس you guys can grasp the concept. Let's do this one. So عندنا هني 3x plus 1, x plus 2 squared. All you have to do is distribute. So this is basically the same as saying integral of 3x plus 1 into x plus 2 into x plus 2. زين? dx. Simplify it, just distribute it all. ف 3x plus 1 الdistribution هني. So x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. زين? dx. Simplify. It's going to be 3x plus 1 into x squared plus 4x plus 4 dx. This is just algebra. We are not doing any integration yet. Becomes, again, we distributed 3x into all of these, and then the 1 into all of these. So it will be 3x cubed, 3x times x squared is 3x cubed, plus 12x squared, 3x times 4x. 3x times 4 is plus 12x, plus 1 times x squared, 1 times 4x, 1 times 4. All of this dx. We simplify. We get the same powers together. فعندنا 3x cubed, عندنا plus 12x squared, وعندنا x squared. It will become plus 13x squared. بعدين عندنا 12x و 4x. And يستوي plus 16x. And then plus 4 dx. And now you can integrate each one by itself very easily. Integration rule for the first one, 3x cubed. What's the rule? Plus 1 divided by 3 plus 1. Same thing for the next one, 13x to the power of 2 plus 1 divided by 3 plus 1. Next one, same exact thing, 16x to the power of 1, which is just 16x, plus 1 divided by 1 plus 1. Again, plus 4, which is basically x to the power of 0, plus 1 divided by 0 plus 1. And then at the very end, plus c, because it's a constant. The arbitrary constant is always there. Simplify this. Thank you. 2 plus 1. And then we simplify this. 3x to the power of 4 over 4 plus 13x cubed over 3 plus 16x squared over 2 plus 4x plus c. Again, if you want, you can simplify this. This becomes basically 8x squared. Tamam? And that's it. That's your final answer. This is the integration of this this formula or this equation. All right? Another question. Let's look at another question. Let's do this one. Most of the work that you will do when it comes to integration is not the actual integration. It's you're going to do algebra to simplify the integration. نفس هني في هالحالة. هني عندنا 3x squared minus 4x plus 8. So let's look at just that. 3x squared minus 4x plus 8 over x power 5. Before we even do the integration, how can we simplify this? How can we make these all separate terms? They have a common denominator. So just split them up. So you can split them up in this way. 3x squared over x5 minus 4x over x5 plus 8 over x5. And that's it. That's how you simplify it. خلاص عندنا separate terms which we can even further simplify. So the further simplification of this will be عندنا الحين, if you remember from exponentials, x to the power of 2 minus 5 لأن this is a division and this is يعني numerator denominator, so division. فبيستوي 2 minus 5. نفس الشيء هني 1 minus 5. نفس الشيء هني 0 x power 0 minus 5. إنزين أو simply this is just x minus 5 يروح فوق. إنزين so this is 3x 2 minus 5 minus 4x 1 minus 5 plus 8x minus 5. Further simplifying, we will get 3x power minus 3 minus 4x power minus 4 plus 8x power minus 5. And that's it. Now you can easily integrate this equation. Super easy. So we just simplified it algebraically. As you see, we did not use any calculus in this matter. فالحين إذا سوينا الانتجرال of this by dx, we will get apply integration rule 3x minus 3 plus 1 over minus 3 plus 1. Again, minus 4x minus 4 plus 1 over minus 4 plus 1. Again, plus 8x minus 5 plus 1 over minus 5 plus 1. Simplifying this will give us 3x power minus 2 over minus 3 plus 1 is minus 2. Minus 2 minus 4x power minus 3 over minus 3 plus 8x power minus 4 over minus 4. Easy so far, la? Just straightforward. You're just doing basic math now. And هني we can simplify it even more. زين. 3x minus 2. So there's a minus. We'll just keep the minus outside. 3 هاي الماينس طلعنا. This is just this minus. We're taking it outside. Okay. 3x, not 3x, 3 over 2x squared. We have a minus, so we just took it to the denominator. Minus and minus cancel. Here we have minus and minus, or it does not cancel. Minus and minus becomes plus. So plus 4 over 3x cubed. Again, here we have plus and minus, so it becomes minus. So plus and minus becomes minus. And then minus 8 over 4x 4. And that's it. Plus c, of course. Plus c. Plus c. And then, so we have to have plus c, and this is your final answer. Okay? Any questions so far about this? See, these concepts are very straightforward and very basic. You guys need to understand how the molecular substitution we will get to soon. Most of it is algebra, not يعني ما في calculus part is just the step. This is the step of the calculus part of knowing how to differentiate basic equations. Let's say we have let me think of a fun problem. Hey, let's say we have we already did square root. لا فهمتوا كيف نسوي square root المفروض. Yeah, we did. The first question had a square root. Yeah, these are the basic concepts. That's it. Yeah, if you guys understand these, you should be fine with the remaining concepts now. Let us say, I remember seeing a problem like this in the slides. It was 1 plus t, I think, can to the power of 2 over square root of t, something like that. D, t. In this case, our variable is t, so we are differentiating or integrating in terms of t. Again, you're going to do the algebra first before you do the differentiation. So 1 plus t times 1 plus t, and then over square root t, which is simply 1 plus t. We're just going to distribute. So 1 into 1 plus, 1 into 1, 1 into t, t into 1, t into t. So 1 plus t plus t, which is 1 times t and 1 times t, plus t squared over square root t, which is t to the power of half. Remember, when we're integrating or differentiating, always put it in exponential form to simplify things. So this is, in other words, t squared plus 2t plus 1 over t to the power of half. We will do the exact same step we did here. We're going to separate it. We have a common denominator. So we're going to do t squared over t to the power of half plus 2t over t to the power of half plus 1 over t to the power of half. Again, 2 minus half is t to the power of 3 over 2. Okay, 2 minus half. Simply, we're going to do this minus this. 1 minus half. And this we could just take to the top and put a minus for it. It's the same thing. Plus 2t, 1 minus half. 1 minus half is just half. And then plus 1 t to the power of half will take it up. So it's going to be t to the power of minus half. And that's it. And now we can integrate this very easily. So the integration of t3 over 2 plus 2 t to the power of half plus t to the power of minus half. And that's it. And we can simplify and solve it directly now. And then the integration will become t to the power of 3 over 2 minus plus 1 over 3 over 2 plus 1 plus 2t to the power of half, again, plus 1 over half plus 1 plus t to the power of minus half, again, plus 1 over minus half plus 1. طبعا plus c. Okay? And then you just simplify this and you get your final answer. I'm not going to simplify it. يعني خلاص, the concept I think is understood here. We did it multiple times. Let me think of one with sine or cosine. Let's do something simple. Let's do the integration of 5 cosine 2x dx. Again, same thing, same rules that we did before. If it makes it easier, حقكم, يعني you can always just take the 5 and put it outside if it makes it easier, but it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. زين? Then it's a constant. It does not affect it as long as you're multiplying. Now, how do we do this? Remember, the basic integration of cosine is sine. So we're going to have 5 is a constant. 5 is a constant times the integration, which is sine 2x. However, we have a 2 here. So we have to divide by 2. That's it. That's the whole idea. In قبل, remember when we had cosine, if we had like إذا كنا نقول dy by du, زين, let's say this is y, يعني إذا y كان يساوي cosine 2x, dy by du, we had to multiply the 2 outside. In the case of integration, we have to divide. That's pretty much it. زين? Same thing with the sine, same thing with cosine. Remember, in this case, this is going to be sine, and it's going to be minus. So minus sine 2x. In this case, the cosine to sine, it's plus. The sine to cosine is going to be minus. And then, obviously, plus c. This is simply, you can either keep it the way it is, or just say it's 2.5 sine 2x, and that's it. Plus c. This is your final answer. Very straightforward. في الاختبار ما يجبرون نشتق كان من طريقة محددة صح؟ مو لازم نكتب القانون. شو اللي قصدكم بالقانون؟ قصدك هذا اللي هني اللي أنا أسويه plus 1 و 3 over 2. How you don't have to write it down. لا. بس you have to show your steps. يعني if you have this question and you went from here all the way to هني, أكيد بيقولون شيء غلط. يعني you have to show the steps. How did you simplify this? V and U, هو يفضل you show where the V and U is. يعني إذا بتسوون integration by parts, which we'll see later on, you have to put where the V and U is. I will show you now, inshallah. الحين we will go into it. Before I move on into integration by parts, anyone has any question? Let's do one last one with exponential. زين, let's say we have 3 times, ولا مو times, خلينا نسوي divide بس نخربطكم شوي. e to the power of 5t. Okay? dt. تمام? Let's do it this way. Simplify this. You can simplify this. How do you simplify it? Take it up. It's going to be 3 e to the power minus 5t, and that's it. You're done. And now you can solve it easily. يعني وانا ابغى اخربطكم بس see, it's very direct. As long as you know your basic algebra, you can solve it. So what was the rule for exponential? Exponential does not change. فنعرف ان اول شيء في الجواب e minus 5t اكيد بيكون موجود فيه as it is. ولكن عندنا constant 3 outside. So we're going to multiply by 3. And the minus 5, we're going to have to divide the final answer by minus 5. That's it. We're going to have to divide it by minus 5. And of course, our plus c. If we simplify this, it is going to be minus 3 over 5e to the power 5t. Then the fog minus, we take it to the bottom and becomes plus. Very straightforward. Does not require any complications. Tamam? Let us move on to integration by parts. Integration by parts was basically derived from product rule, if you remember. In derivation, عندنا u dy by dx, زين, dy by dx is equal to u dv by dx plus v du by dx, if you remember. صح? An integration by product rule and differentiation. Integration rule basically comes from this. زين? What does the integration rule say? أنا ما بسوي الحين الديريفيشن، إذا تبون بعد ما أراويكم ordinary differential equation solving بشرح لكم الانتجريشن how it's done. إنزين؟ فانتجريشن الرول is u dv is equal to uv integration of v du. This is the rule. انتوا في الفورمال sheet they gave you something very similar. Don't get too confused by it. معطينكم integration u v dx زين is equal to u integration v dx minus integration of du by dx v. يعني شكله معقد بس هو it's the same concept exactly that I used here. Into try to memorize this rule to apply as it will simplify it much more instead of being complicated with كل هالintegration والderivations اللي هناك. تمام? So just remember it's the integration of u dv is equal to uv minus integration of v du. تمام? You know what? Let me explain how we derive this from here. Maybe it helps some of you understand it a bit more. So this was, like I said, the product rule. The product rule that we have from a differentiation. زين؟ if you remember that this was basically y is the function which is equal to u times v. صح ولا لا؟ y was our function and we have u times v. مثلا u كان x cubed وثاني واحد e to the power x or whatever. All right? So all that they are doing here is they are just putting an integration directly like this. So they're integrating everything. That's what they are doing. dy by dx is this. This is dy by dx. يعني كأننا نقول dy by dx. It's equal to du by dx times dv by dx. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. It's as if you're differentiating here. تمام? So we can say that this is as if it is the integration of dy of dx is the integration of du dv. Integration of du dv is equal to the integration of u u dv dx. خلينا نخليه كله ان x عشان ما تتخربطون وايد. لأن I prefer to explain this concept after I do differential equations and أحس وايد بتتخربطون يوم بحرك ال dx with dv. So for now, just remember this, memorize this. After we go to differential equations, when we do solving for differential equations, I will explain how we derive this. It will be much more simpler there. زين? So let us just understand how to use this equation. What does this equation mean? فرضاً, a simple equation like this, x times sine x. We want to find the integration. Remember in product rule, when did we use this? When we had a product, كان عندنا multiplication between two variables. Exactly the same thing for integration by parts. Integration by parts. Integration by parts. This is what this is called. It's for products. يعني لو عندكم x times e power x عندكم x sine x. عندكم x ln x. عندكم ما أعرف شو بعد فيه. بس these are basically the most important ones يعني. إنزين. So yeah, so this is when you will be using integration by parts. And basically يكون عندكم هني multiplication between two variables, and this is dx. So how do you apply this rule? لو تلاحظون on the left side هني خلني I color everything like I usually do عشان ما تضيعون. فعندنا integration of u dv u times v, and then integration of v du. So we need to set a u value and we need to set a dv value, a differentiation value. شو معناته؟ معناته we need to take a u. Let's, for example, in this case, take this as u, and I'll explain why we choose this as u. And we will take all of this as dv. لأن we are selecting dv, it has to have a d in the equation itself. لازم يكون differentiation change with another variable. لأن we need the entire dv. تمام? So we will select here the left side to be u and the right side to be dv. Now we can find عندنا u is equal to x وعندنا dv is equal to sine x dx. To find our v, to find first our du, simple, you just differentiate du by dx is equal to what? It's equal to 1. In other words, we can say du is equal to dx. I'm just moving this up here. Du is equal to dx. We had dv. How do we go from differentiation? يعني from this in a differentiation form back to normal form, we have to integrate. We have to integrate both sides. So the integration of dv is simply v. Integration of dv is simply v, because when you integrate a constant, this is like saying 1 times dv. زين? 1 times dv, if you do this integration, what do you get? It's v to the power of 0 plus 1 over 1. صح ولا لا? Over يعني 0 plus 1. So it's simply equal to v. So integrating dv is going to be v. Integration of sine x dx. What's the integration of sine x dx? Minus cosine x. تمام? In integration by parts, you don't need to put the plus c because you're going to put it at the end of the final integral anyways. So in the u and v and dv, you do not need to add any plus c's. Okay. Now, so we found our u, we found our du, we had our dv, and we found our v, and now we can plug it in back into this equation, and that's it. So we're going to plug in back into this equation. Okay. So if we want to plug it in back, الحين الانتجريشن مال u dv, which is basically our x sine x dx, this is u dv. So integration of x sine x dx is equal to uv. What's uv? X. U is x. What is v? Minus cosine x. Minus cosine x. Minus the integration of v. What is v? Minus cosine x. What is du? It's simply equal to dx. And that's it. And now you can solve this simple calculation. So this will be equal to x times minus cosine x is simply just minus x cosine x. Integration of minus cosine x, you can always take the minus outside from the beginning, بس عشان ما تتلخبطون. Actually, I would recommend you take out the minus before you do the integration so you don't get confused by sign. So you can take out this minus outside. minus times minus becomes plus. زين plus the integration of cosine x dx. Okay, and now you can do the integration itself. So minus x cosine x plus cosine x. What's the integration of cosine x? It is simply sine x and then plus c, and this is your final answer. Quick recap. Again, quick recap. We are doing integration by parts. Okay, I know I was all over the place وياه بس بعد we'll take it easy step by step. أول شيء, you will need to determine your u value and your dv value. So the dv value has to have a dx value for it. تمام? The u value is just by itself, just a variable, one of the variables. It's equal to u times v and v du. Once you determine your u and your dv, you will integrate your dv to find your v. This integration, okay, this integration, you have to understand how to do it. And you have to select your dv with something that is easy to integrate. In this case, any of them could have been dv. يعني I could have selected x dx to be my dv. But my recommendation, if you have sine, if you have e to the power of x or sine, always use that as your dv. Select it and يكون ال dv value مالكم whatever has sine or cosine, or it is e to the power of something, because those are very easy to integrate and are very straightforward. لأن sine يستوي cosine أو بالأصح minus cosine, و e to the power x يتم as e to the power x, so it's easy to use as a dv value. And the other one you can select it as u. So now that we did it, we find the derivative. We write this in terms of dx. So we want du by itself on the left side and write it in terms of dx. So we move the dx to the right. عشان when we substitute back, we have the dx. Okay? And then you found our v by integration like we said earlier, and then we just plug in everything back into the equation. So u dv, this is just our original question, is equal to uv, which is x times minus cosine x, x which is our u, v which is our minus cosine x, minus the integration of v, which is minus cosine x, and du, which is just simply dx. تمام? And then you solve and simplify and you get your final answer, and don't forget your plus c. So any questions? هني for integration by part قبل سلمان كنت تسأل, you have to show these steps. You have to show how you got your u, what's your dv, how you got your v, what's your du. This is the whole concept of integration by parts. So you have to show the steps here shown in the green and purple. Will you solve a past exam? Oh, I'll think about it, but not tonight. If I will be solving a past exam, it might be tomorrow, but I have a presentation tomorrow, so it depends on the situation. I don't know if I will, to be honest, but if I'm doing it, it will be tomorrow morning, يعني from 9 or 10 in the morning. But I'm not sure yet, I haven't confirmed. Any questions about integration by parts? Anything at all? This is very important to understand. We will do a few more examples of this so you'll grasp the concept even better. Okay. Let's move on and solve another question. Let's see. How do you know if we can't? Okay, I'll answer that. Just let me find another question and I'll answer that for you. Let's do this one. في شيء ثاني هذا. Let's do this one first. This is also integration by parts. This is also, let's بتسويهم كلهم. Let's start with 6. Let's go in order. So your question was, how do we know if we cannot use the by parts method? Until you do not know how you cannot use the by parts method, until you know how you can use it. If you have multiplication between two variables, you are using integration by parts, no matter what the situation is. إذا عندك two variables being multiplied by each other, يعني two variables that you cannot directly multiply, like if you have a sine, if you have ln, if you have exponential, and it's being multiplied with x, in this case, you cannot you can use, يعني the only way to solve it is by using integration by parts, similar to product rule and differentiation. When do you use it? When you have a product, when you have two variables that are being multiplied, يعني x sine x or x cosine x or x times e to the power of x. All right, so let's solve this one. In this case, we also have a product rule. Actually, let's save this for when I do algebraic, and we will explain it with that one. Let's do the e to the power. I prefer that one as well. You know what? Let me explain, and then we'll do more questions at the end. Let me explain just the last concept, عشان we get it out of the way. So we did integration by parts. The last thing, it's very simple concept. It's just the substitution, using substitution to solve something. Let's say we have, لو تذكرون في differentiation, when we have something like 2x plus 3, for example, to the power of ما أدري 5. يعني هني إيش كثر بتوزعون. You don't want to distribute over and over and over and over again. So we can use the same thing we did as before, where we can substitute this by u. And we set our u to be equal to 2x plus 3. We find our du by dx, which is 2, just 2. And then we convert this du by dx in terms of dx. But du is equal to 2dx. This is the extra step you do during integration. دائما تبون du in terms of x. Then you will substitute this back into the equation. And that's it. Same as before. This is how you're going to do it. So you're going to integrate now u to the power of 5. U to the power of 5. And here we need to substitute du. We need to substitute for dx. So instead of doing this, you're going to have it in terms of dx is equal to du over 2. You want to have it in terms of dx. ليش؟ لأن you want to substitute this dx in place of here with whatever value is inside it. فبيستوي du over 2. Or in other words, if you just want to write it in a better way, this is just simply equal to u to the power of 5 times half du. Or in other words, it's simply u to the power of 5 over 2 du. And that's it. And then you integrate this simple equation, which you already know how to do. Again, recap, when you do the differentiation, when you set your u value, you want to do it in terms of dx. You want dx to be by itself. يعني بروحه يكون على صوب عشان تقدرون تعوضونه في equation. So dx is going to be equal to, if you just move the dx here and move the 2 down there, it's going to be du over 2. We substitute this dx here and we will get du over 2, and we will substitute the 2x plus 3 with u. And that's it. And now we can integrate. So the integration is going to give us u to the power of 5, it's basic integration, plus 1, and then over 1 over 2 is a constant, this 2, it's just a constant, I will keep it outside, over 5 plus 1, and yeah, that's it, plus c. So in other words, this is equal to half times u to the power of 6 over 6 plus c. So it's simply equal to u to the power of 6 over 12 plus c. Now we can substitute back the equation of u, which is 2x plus 3. So we know that u is equal to 2x plus 3, and we'll substitute it back. So this is going to be equal to 2x plus 3 over 12 plus c. 2x plus 3 to the power of 6 over 12 plus c. And that's it. This is how you substitute, how you use the substitution method for any for any complicated or any long evaluating problems. This is all the concepts that you need to know when it comes to integration. These are all the steps that you will ever have to perform. Obviously, it's going to have more problems, more different numbers than each other, and more techniques. But the basis of it is all going to be the same thing, where you have to use integration by parts, substitution, knowing the general rule. That's it. That's the level at which you guys need to know. Any questions before I start solving all the rest of the questions? And I will do all the worksheet, and we will see before I move on to area and all of that. So any questions? All right, let's start with question 4. I'm going to go through this very quickly. Very simple, same concept as we did before. This is equal to the integration of 4x minus 5 to the power of half. I'm just removing the square root dx. Let us set u is equal to 4x minus 5. du is going to be, by dx is going to be equal to 4. So in other words, dx is equal to du by d4. Sorry, by 4. Okay. And then we will plug it back into the equation. So we have integration of u to the power of half dx. What's dx? It is du by 4. So du, du by 4. Or in other words, you can just simply write it as u power half over 4 du. And then we integrate. So 1 over 4 times u to the power of half plus 1 plus half plus 1 times plus c. And that's it. This is your final answer. So 1 over 4 times, we will, before substituting, let's simplify 3 over 2. 1 plus 1 half is 3 over 2. So divided by 3 over 2 plus c. In other words, this is 1 over 4 times 2 over 3, or 2u, 3 over 2 times 3. Simplifying this plus c, simplifying this even more. If we simplify it, it's going to give us 6 u 3 over 2 over 6 plus c. Or in other words, you can say it's u cubed under the square root over 6 plus c. We can substitute now the equation for x minus 5 for u. So this is equal to 4x minus 5 cubed over 6. If you write du directly, there's nothing wrong. This is an important concept, you guys. Thank you for asking that question. الحين عندنا this is equal to u. You can directly write this as du is equal to 4 dx. This is completely correct. You don't have to write it as du by dx. زين, but this is how some people learn it at the beginning and all of that. In real math, this is how they directly write it. They just write it as du for dx. لأن they're basically deriving this, so they're simply adding the d here and the d here. That's it. So it's going to be du for dx. You have to mention dx, you have to mention du. You cannot have any equation, you cannot have dx is equal to 5. This makes no sense. You cannot have du is equal to 3. This makes no sense. You cannot have du equal to 4x squared. This makes no sense. You have to add a dx, either here or as division here, as they mean the exact same thing. So if you wrote just du, I don't know how lenient the teachers will be. بس إذا أنت كتبت لي أنا بس du ما بعطيك علامة. إذا أنا. I don't know how the teachers are, but make sure you understand the concept that in calculus, you cannot have a change with respect to nothing. This is simply saying we are changing the variable u with respect to, I don't know. كذي. So it makes no sense. So make sure you are writing it as du by dx, or du is equal to 4 dx. You will see more of why this is also in differential equations when we are solving, why this is important. تمام? Let's solve the next question. again, same concept exactly. Let u equal to 2x plus 1. du is equal to 2 dx. In other words, dx is equal to du over 2. Just 1 second. Okay. So again, du is equal to 2 dx. dx is equal to du over 2. Substitute all of this. So now we have the integration of cosine u. du over 2. Then, so we can simply take this 1 over 2 outside completely of the integral if you want. Yeah, and you can do this as well. Integration of cosine u du if it makes it simpler for you. And then it's going to be half times cosine u. What's the integral of cosine u? Yes, we are differentiating u to find du. Exactly. That's all we are doing. We are finding the differentiation of this. We are doing du by dx of u, which is the differentiation. So cosine of u becomes sine of u under the integration. So in other words, this is equal to half sine u plus c, of course, plus c. هني u is 2x plus 1. We just substitute that back in. So half sine 2x plus 1 plus c, and this is your final answer. All right? Next question. Let's do this one. Question 6. We have 3t squared t cubed plus 4 to the power of 5. We have multiplication between two variables. And then, but in this case, if you use, if you want, you could use integration by parts. There's nothing wrong with that, but it makes no sense to use integration by parts, and let me tell you why. If we set this to be u, let's set this to be u. So our u is equal to t cubed plus 4. What is our du? It's equal to 3t squared dt. Okay? صح ولا لا? 3t squared times dt. So in other words, our dt is equal to, we just divide du by 3t squared. And let's plug this back into the equation. So the integration of 3t squared u to the power of 5 times du over 3t squared. du over 3t squared. شوف ايش يصير. We get to cancel this with this. And that's it. And we can solve it very easily now. So it will become u to the power of 5 du, which is equal to u to the power of 6 over 6. At this point, you should know how I got this. Plus c. نعوض الu. So this is going to be equal to نعوض الu t cubed plus 4 to the power of 6 over 6 plus c. And we are done. All right. So in this case, when you have a power inside, يعني يوم تشوفون question كذي تشوفون عندكم power inside that is one more than the power outside, remember that you can simply just use the u equation. Okay. Otherwise, you're gonna have to do by parts, but I don't think they will bring anything like that. يعني more most probably إذا بيبون لكم by parts بيبون لكم شيء واضح يكون by parts. زين يعني the whole idea of this question is to solve by substitution. Let's move on to the next question. So we have integration of x e6x xe to the power of 6x. This, we will set our u to be x. So u is going to be equal to x, and our dv is going to be equal to e6x. شوفوا يوم تشوفون question x times e to the power أو تشوفون x times sine أو تشوفون x times ln أو x times cosine, instantly you know that you are doing integration by parts. Instantly. Okay? Set your u value to the x value and your other value with the dv with the other value, whichever is given, in this case e to the power of 6x. So du is equal to, what's the derivative of x? It's 1 dx. dv يعني v is going to be equal to, if we integrate, what is the integration of e6x dx? Oh, this is dx, remember. This whole part is going to be dv. And this part is going to be u. Okay? So what is the integration of e to the power of 6x? You should already know directly. e6x does not change, but the 6, we have to divide it by it. And that's it. We have our u, we have our dv, we have our du, we have our v. So the rule says integration of u dv, which is what we have in the question, this is our u dv, is equal to u times v minus the integration of v du. And that's it. And you can plug in now to solve. So this is basically saying integration of x e6x dx is equal to, what is our u? X. What is our v? Our v is e6x over 6 minus the integration of v. What is v? Again, e6x over 6. What is du? du is simply dx, or 1 dx, which is the same thing. And then you can solve, and done. Straightforward. فعندنا x e6x over 6 minus integration of e6x over 6. e6x does not change. 6 is a constant. Best, remember, we have to divide by 6. So in other words, multiplying by 6 at the bottom. If this is too confusing, let me do it in this way. So 6 is a constant. We could just say it's 1 over 6 times e to the power of 6x divided by 6, which is this 6 over here. This 6, we are dividing by it. The integration of e to the power of 6x. And that's it. Plus c. Simplifying will give us x e6x over 6 minus e to the power of 6x over 6 times 6, which is 36 plus c. All right. And that's pretty much it for this question. نشوف السؤال اللي عقبه. As you see, just remember, if you have x e to the power 6x, always use this as your dv and use your x as u. You instantly should know it's integration by parts. نفس الحين نشوف السؤال اللي عقبه. Sure. Again, exactly the same thing. هني you see 3t plus 5 times cosine t over 4. Instantly, you know, integration by parts. This will be our u, and this will be our dv. And that's it. And start solving. U is equal to 3t plus 5. Then dv is equal to cosine t over 4 dt. For u, we find our du, which is equal to 3 dt. And our v, we just have to integrate it above. So v is equal to integration of cosine t over 4 dt. It's going to give us sine t over 4. ولكن شو we have to divide by 1 over 4. We have to divide لأن هاي t over 4 is the same as saying 1 over 4 times t. صح ولا لا? So we have to divide by 1 over 4. In other words, this is just simply equal to v is simply just equal to 4 لأن 1 over 4 بتساوي 4 over 1 if we take it up. So 4 sine t over 4. Okay? Moving on. We just have to apply the equation. فintegration of تعبت وانا اكتب الايكويشن. زين your differential your شو يسمونه integration by parts equation. Make sure you memorize this form عشان ما تتخربطون لأن الformula sheet form is a bit weird. So just so you don't get confused. So the integration of u dv. u dv شنو هو هذا السؤال مالنا. So the integration of 3t plus 5 cosine t over 4 dt. هاي السؤال بس is equal to uv. What's uv? 3t plus 5 3t plus 5. What's our v? 4 sine t over 4 minus integration of v, which is 4 sine t over 4 times du, which is 3 dt. Okay? In this case, we can simplify it. 3t plus 5 خليه نفس ما هو times بنطلع الفور نخليه بروحه بعد times sine t over 4 بعدين بنوزع الفور على قبله. So minus 4 sine هني if you can see we have 4 and 3, we could just multiply it and we can put it outside. 4 times 3 sine t over 4 dt لأن these are constants. This and this, they are constants. Because they're constants, we can take them just outside and multiply them. Okay? So, yeah, and that's it. We now can just simplify the equation and solve and find the final answer. So بس بنوزع الفور هني عشان يكون أرتب شوي الإيكويشن. 4 times 3, that's 12t, plus 5 times 4 is 20. Times sine t over 4 minus 12. Integration of sine t over 4 is going to become minus cosine t over 4 divided by 1 over 4. And عندنا a constant of 1 over 4 inside. Plus c. Simplifying even more, 12t plus 20 sine t over 4 minus and minus. We have two minuses. We have a minus here and the minus here. They become plus. So plus. The 4, if we take it to the upper side, it's going to become 12 times 4. And then cosine t over 4 plus c. Okay? Final simplification. بنخلص هالسؤال إن شاء الله بناخذ بريك. Sine t over 4 plus 48 cosine t over 4 plus c. I'm just simplifying. يعني all these steps are just simplifying steps. And that's it. We're done. We'll do one more, the last question. باقي بس سؤال واحد. بنخلص آخر سؤال وبناخذ إن شاء الله break. And then we will continue with the area of integration وكل هذا, which is just very quickly, and Simpson's rule. وبعدين بنبدأ differential equations إن شاء الله. Let's just finish one last question before we take a break. Again, it's the same concept. There's nothing new to it. Integration by parts. عندنا equation مالنا مال integration by parts هني. وين راح هاتو. Remember this equation, memorize it, as it will make it much easier to solve in the exam. في formula sheet it's a bit weird. So last question, over u is equal to x. انزين هني we need to think about it just ever so slightly. شنو أسهل نسوي اليو الx ولا square root x plus 1? It doesn't matter, really doesn't matter. It's both the same. لأن both are easy to integrate and derive. So du is equal to 1 dx. The v عندنا dv is equal to x plus 1 to the power of half. كامل, all of it. You will take this entire thing as your dv. Okay? Not just the thing inside. So this is dv. أو بلا صح مو بس لين هني لين هني. Okay? If we integrate this to find v, integration x plus 1. طبعا أنا I'm taking a shortcut هني. زين لأنه هو شنو x plus 1 half minus 1 which is minus half. لا it's plus, it's not minus, so it's plus 3 over 2 اللي يصير. أنا I'm doing a shortcut هني في الانتجريشن لأن it's a basic integration يعني basic هذا لأن عندنا بس 1 inside. But my recommendation here is to do the substitution method if you are not 100% sure when you are integrating this, because we are going to integrate this in terms of dx and integrate this. And then just to do the shortcut real quickly, it's going to be half plus 1, which is 3 over 2, but then divide by 3 over 2. So in other words, this is 2 over 3 x plus 1, 3 over 2. Then do not do the shortcut I just did, do the full steps. Then 2 verse 3 or so, and that's it. And then you can solve the question. Then you will just substitute everything back in again, and that's it. فعندنا ال x uv x times هذا 2 over 3 x plus 1 to the power of 3 over 2. Then minus the integration of v du, v نفسه 2 over 3 into x plus 1 x plus 1 to the power of 3 over 2 times dx and اللي هو du. Okay, simplifying this even more, 2 over 3 we'll take it outside times x into x plus 1 power 3 over 2 minus هني you can do another substitution عشان تعرفون. أول شيء let's take out the 2 over 3 outside the integral so it becomes easier. x plus 1 3 over 2 dx. تقدرون تسوون algebraic substitution هني عشان you find out the value and all of that, but I'm just going to do the shortcut for me. 2 over 3x x plus 1 3 over 2 minus 2 over 3 الانتجريشن بيستوي x plus 1 to the power of 5 over 2 divided by 5 over 2. Do not use the shortcut in the exam. The reason I'm using this shortcut is because the coefficient of x هني is 1. لأن this is 1, it makes it so much simpler. If there was a number here, you're going to have to divide by that number as well. So do not use this shortcut in the exam. In the exam, use the full substitution method. You have more than enough time to do that. عشان ما تسوون أخطاء anywhere. All right? And then plus c. So the final answer is going to be 2 over 3 x into x plus 1 3 over 2 minus 2 over 3 times 2 over 5 into x plus 1 5 over 2 plus c. Finally 2 over 3x into x plus 1 3 over 2 minus 2 over 3 times 2 times 2 is 4 3 times 5 is 15 x plus 1 5 over 2 plus c. All right, and that's it. This is basic integration, how you have to do it. We will take a break now, inshallah, for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and finalize integration in Simpson's rule. Any questions before we take a break about anything we did? إن شاء الله البريك بيكون until let's make it a 15-minute break عشان we finish differential equations بعد الانتجريشن, and then we take another small break, we do complex numbers. So we'll take a 15-minute break right now. We'll be back at 6:45. Okay. So any questions so far about everything we did? This is all of integration. خلاص خلصنا احنا integration بالكامل. Anything not clear, even if you think it's a stupid question, عادي ask. ما في anything stupid in math. Because math itself can sometimes look stupid. So don't worry. If you have any questions, feel free to ask right now. So for now, anyone, you can go take your break until 6:45, and we will continue with definite integrals and areas and all of that, and Simpson's rule.